Hi, it's Adam from realitymanifestation.com. In this video, I'm going to be going through subconscious identity reprogramming and how to align with the universe. So now, getting straight into it, a common misconception when it comes to the law of attraction, or anything related when it comes to manifesting and attracting things into our life, is that it's the conscious mind. So basically anything that's currently within your focus is what will be attracted and manifested to you, which is partially true, but to use an analogy, think that you're a captain in a very large ship. I don't actually know how large ships are moved with technology these days, but imagine you either have some kind of control, some form of modern day steering wheel or buttons or whatever moves the ship. Your conscious mind is the one that presses dials on a button to help steer the ship. So your conscious mind is like the little captain that's tiny in comparison to the large ship that steers the wheel or presses the buttons that dictates where the ship will go towards. Now, whether you believe it's God, the universe, spirits, whatever you believe in that will bring and attract things to you, it comes from an aspect of our higher parts of our mind, deeper levels of the unconscious, that has the power to communicate with whatever it is you believe in or is a part of. So when you're using your conscious mind to focus on something, the reason that this has power is eventually can slip into the subconscious and communicate, so to speak, with the higher parts of your consciousness, whether it's your higher self or whatever it is that you believe in. I personally believe it's higher intelligences from deeper levels of our consciousness that we can't become fully consciously aware of. But now, bringing it back to the analogy, the conscious mind is basically to dial in the instructions for where the ship is moved to, but the actual power comes from the engines, the cogs, or whatever is within a ship that actually then makes it move. The conscious mind is used to make new instructions to tell the ship where to go towards, but the actual power comes from the engine that moves the ship itself. It's not a perfect analogy, but hope it gives you a bit of an idea of how the conscious mind is not actually where the true, real power to attract things, move the ship, so to speak, comes from. We're going to expand upon and come back to this analogy in a moment, but before we do, I want to go through a little bit more about how the subconscious mind works and in relation to identity and why this is important when it comes to aligning with the universe. Our mind's two prime motives is to either help us avoid pain or to gain pleasure, with avoiding pain being the strongest out of the two because it's linked to our survival. And now how this relates to our identity, to paraphrase a quote by Tony Robbins, the strongest force in the human psyche is one's need for their words and their actions to stay consistent with their identity. Basically how they define themselves, and why this is essential to grasp is because whenever you're trying to make a change but you're going against your identity, you are literally fighting with yourself because your mind's doing its job in trying to protect you. Because if you go towards something that isn't in alignment with your identity, you subconsciously will view and associate that as a threat because it goes against your identity, which is the core way in which we meet our need for certainty, which is one of the 6 human needs, which I'm not going to cover fully within this video, but basically it's linked to our survival and keeping safe. So to give you an example, if you're trying to become wealthy, but you see yourself as someone who is poor or always had bad luck and attract circumstances that are full of scarcity, just to be clear, I mean financial wealth, as I know there's different forms of wealth, but continuing on. So if you're trying to become financially wealthy, but you identify yourself as someone who is poor or never has any money, having a lot of money, or if you was just to stumble across it, would literally cause your subconscious mind to feel threatened and will likely lead you to taking actions that will sabotage it, and also you'll be sending out vibrations, or whatever you believe in attracts things to you that will do the opposite and want to push it further and further away. So whenever you go to do any form of a law of attraction technique and it's going against your identity, this isn't to say you still can't get incredible results, as I have myself, as I've done things in the past that goes against how I view myself and attracted great results. However, it makes it much harder and you're basically trying to swim upstream. You're fighting against a current and you'll usually only get temporary results. You're unlikely to get consistent forms of wealth, generating more income, for example, even though you can, but there's still a good chance you'll sabotage it even when you do attract it. Going back to the ship analogy, it's like there's an inbuilt safety navigation system within it that's constantly trying to put you in one direction because that's related to your identity. This is what the ship thinks is safe, and then you're trying to constantly say no, go more to the right or in this direction, and it's trying to go in between both at the same time rather than concurrently going full speed into one direction. So it's much less powerful and less effective. So you want to become someone with their identity is naturally in alignment with the universe, with whatever it is that you want. So if you want to become financially wealthy, your identity is someone who is financially wealthy, or at the very least capable of generating great financial wealth. So the ship's navigation system is constantly pulling you towards what you want to attract, rather than you having to fight and battle with the ship, trying to move it towards where you want it to be. So rather than trying some fancy law of attraction technique, you'll subconsciously be intending and sending vibrations that align with what you want. Again, with that said, that isn't to say that certain techniques, especially when done effectively, can't bring tremendous results, but you want to get yourself and your identity in alignment with what you want first, as everything will come much easier and more natural to you when this is the case. I generally like to make my videos very practical, so there's some theories that teach us a concept, but then you can go on ahead and apply it to get a real change and actual result. So in terms of actually applying this practically to reprogram your subconscious mind and make a shift in your identity, this isn't something you're going to do within just a few minutes of watching this video. Some ways in which I know how to do this have a fair few steps involved and will likely take a few hours to start following. However, you can follow them at your own time and pace, and I'm going to leave videos in the description box down below that covers going through your identity in more detail with a practical process to follow that goes through how to change your identity. And the good news is once you've changed your identity, this is when real lasting changes occur, as your subconscious mind, the ship's navigation system so to speak, will keep navigating you towards what you want rather than trying to navigate you away from it. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, if you could like the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Also share this with anyone you think will find the content in this video useful, and also comment down below of any aspects of your identity you want to change and what you're going to change it to. I hope you found this video useful, and I shall see you soon.